What's going on, NFL fans? We are back again with some more NFL game reviews. It is week 12, and the first game that we are going to be highlighting is the Saints against the LA Rams. Now, this game is going to be played in Los Angeles, California, at the Memorial Coliseum. So, if you are in Los Angeles, I would recommend, and you're an NFL fan, going to see this game. This is a game between two of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC. Saints are coming off a tremendous comeback victory last week against the Washington Redskins, and the Rams are coming off a very disappointing loss to the Minnesota Vikings, a game in which I predicted the Rams to win. Yeah, I think in that game the Rams kind of ran into a team that has a great defense, plays a little bit of ball control, and they finally met a team that kind of, gave them problems on the outside with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Kyle Rudolph was pretty big in that game, moving the chains, and Latavius Murray, had a pretty solid game on the ground. So for the Rams, that's something that they might, that the Saints might be going after in this game. The Saints have a very good complement of receivers, led by Michael Thomas. On the ground, they're led by Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram was having a terrific year throughout the season, and Kamara's, like I've said before, has been using that Sproles, Reggie Bush role, where he gets more touches on the ground, which I think is great because him and Mark Ingram are great 1-2, probably the best 1-2 running back punch in the NFL right now. Now diving into this game, this game is going to be played in LA. I don't know. I haven't really checked out a lot of Rams home games this year since they've been winning. I don't know if they actually have a home field advantage, unlike the Chargers. So this is something that we're going to have to look out for here, is a little bit, if it gets loud in the Coliseum. Now, looking at some key matchups in this game. Now, the Saints are going to be without Alex Okafor for what looks like the remainder of the season, as he tore his ACL. He's turned into one of the better pass rushers on their team and in the league, and he's really emerged this year, I guess you can say. Now, a key matchup in this game is going to be the Saints running game versus the Rams rush defense. Now, the Rams kind of did get gashed a little bit by the Vikings last week, and I would expect the Saints to kind of go back to that same formula that they were using as they are on this 8-game winning streak. They did have to be carried a little bit by Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees in his last 2 drives was like 13 of 14 for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in that comeback victory. I expect the Saints to go back to their ball control, run heavy, play action attack that they've been using. Using their formations to their advantage, setting you up for something that they've been using later in the game. I think last week was the first time that they've had to use Drew Brees like a lot, basically have him carry them. But that's what they have Drew Brees for. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If you don't think so, that's a huge problem. Look at some of his career numbers, as well as what he's done, with bad Saints teams over the last couple years. So that's something I look for the Rams to the Saints to exploit in this matchup, is that rush defense of the Rams. That has been a weak point for the Rams most of the season, but when you're ahead, you kind of can, your numbers might be skewered a little bit by the fact that teams kind of give up on the run against you. Now, I do expect Mark Ingram and Kamara to have a pretty solid day on the ground, probably totaling close to about 140 rush yards, honestly, and 2 touchdowns combined between them, maybe more. I think that this is a good offensive line. However, they have had some setbacks on some injuries. But I still think this is a good enough offensive line to open up holes for Ingram and Kamara, and I expect them to continuously march down the field against the Rams in this game. Number 2 in this game is, I think, Jared Goff versus the Saints pass defense. And the Saints pass defense is very underappreciated throughout the year. Katie Vaccaro has, I guess you can say, is a wild card player or a chess piece. Not a wild card, but a chess piece that they use him more in the slot this year than I think that he's ever been used in his career. Marshawn Lattimore is a top 3 corner in the league already as a rookie. And this team is very much all about getting the turnover and forcing sacks. So I expect Jared Goff is going to have to avoid Lattimore at all costs. I do believe the Rams passing game is going to be without Robert Woods. I think there was an injury report, not an injury report, but an alert that I got from Bleacher Report that said Robert Woods was going to be out for a couple of weeks. kind of sucks for the Rams. I mean, Sammy Watkins is gonna have to show up because they're just using him as a decoy. Sammy Watkins has to have a big game. It's gonna come down to all those complimentary receivers. Tavon Austin is gonna have to be used, I think, more in a receiving role. Todd Gurley is gonna have to be thrown to a lot more. This game, I think, rests heavily on Jared Goff for the Rams. You saw last week he wasn't able to perform much, when they needed him to. They only put up 7 points in that game against the Vikings. Now, the Vikings defense is obviously a outlier as they have a great front seven and probably one of the best secondaries in the NFL as well. So that's something that you can't really look at when you're looking at matchups. However, I think this is almost the same type of matchup that they're facing this week. A great defense against a young quarterback. And they have to find the way to run the ball with Gurley. And if they can't, it's all going to rest on Goff. I don't know if Goff is that guy yet, if he can lead a team with his arm yet. I know that you look at his numbers and, saying, yes, he could be in the MVP discussion. But when it mattered most against the Vikings team, a team that they could match up with in the playoffs, he didn't show. So that's something that we're going to have to look at here. In the third and final key matchup, we're going to go back to the Rams here. We're going to go with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley has to have a big game, staying ahead of down and distance, getting 4 or 5, 6 yards on a carry, being used in the passing game. I've said it multiple times with the Rams that Todd Gurley has to touch the ball 30 times. McVay has made great adjustments throughout the season. Last week was I guess you can say the one time that they weren't able to be matched up because Mike Zimmer is a great mind as well. But yeah, I think Gurley has to have 30 touches in this game if the Rams want to have a chance to win. Saints rush defense is pretty solid in my opinion. They do have a couple of holes, but it's not huge holes where they can't be exploited on the ground. So that's something that we're going to have to look at here. Is Todd Gurley getting touches, staying ahead and down in distance, making it easier for Jared Goff to move the ball on shorter second and shorts, third and twos, things like that. Jumping to our 3 reasons why. 3 reasons why each team will win this game. We're going to start with the Rams. It starts with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley has to have about 120 to 140 total yards of offense by himself and has to find the end zone twice, I feel like, for the Rams to be able to win this game. If he's able to do that, I think they have a great chance to win this game. Number 2, the Rams defense forces 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers is a lot, but in this day and age, turnovers are huge. They are momentum shifters. They are drive enders. They can they can help either extend the lead. You got to get points off of turnovers, and that's something the Rams have done for most of the season. Last week was a game where they didn't have any turnovers and they didn't have any sacks. And as a fantasy owner of the Rams defense, you really fucked me. But looking ahead here, they have to be able to force those turnovers, get to a breeze with some pressures, and stop that running game. They have a good chance. And number 3, it start on the defensive side of the ball as well. Going to number 3, Rams have to stop Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara if they want to win this game. And by stop, I mean they need to keep them below 100 total yards of offense combined between the both of them. I know that's tough because Kamara catches more passes. He's used more in the passing game. If they can limit the big play, they have a chance to win this game as well on the defensive side of the ball. But it starts with stopping Ingram and Kamara on the ground to give yourself a chance to win this game. Now, jumping into 3 reasons why for the Saints here. For the Saints, it's Ingram and Kamara. Ingram and Kamara get about 35 touches in this game combined. Over 140, 150 total yards between both of them. They have a great chance to win this game. Honestly, I feel like that the Saints can exploit the Rams on the ground game, unless the Rams find a way to make some stops on the ground. If they can't, I expect the Saints to run it down their throats like they did to the Bills almost, where they had that one drive, where they had about 24 straight run plays, I believe it was. Number 2, no turnovers for Drew Brees at all. Plays, about his typical self, about 20 of 24, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's just a stat line that I think he could have in this game. Obviously, not getting any pressures in his face, quarterback hits, or sacks is huge. And I think the Saints are going to have a little bit of trouble with the front 7 not the front 7, but more like the rush guys on the Rams, with Aaron Donald being probably the best defensive tackle in the league. Robert Quinn, Connor Barwin, guys like that, being able to get some pressures. It could really go far, but I think that the Saints will be able to contain them just enough to give Brees just enough time to exploit some matchups. And number 3, for the Saints defense is getting some turnovers and sacks. I think if they can get 2, maybe 3 turnovers in this game, about 3 sacks in this game, they have a great chance to win this game. However, the Rams offensive line has been terrific this year, giving Goff enough time to go through his reads and find the open man. Now, my prediction for this game is I believe that the Saints will win this game. I think it'll be a lot closer than what I have been saying, though. I think it's going to be around a 31-24 game for the Saints. I think that there's just too much on the ground game for the Saints with Ingram and Kamara. I think Brees is just too efficient of a quarterback and effective, especially with the play action. It's huge with Drew Brees. You give him an extra 2 seconds, let's say, to find somebody, and he's got a big enough arm that he can make any type of throw. And I just think that the Rams defense is not ready to stop the run in big-time games. They do have a tough stretch of games coming up here. The first one was against the Vikings. They did not show out well against the Vikings, and I think the Saints are better than the Vikings, in my opinion. So I think that we'll see that the Saints be able to prevail in this game. 31-24. Thank you for watching. I'm done. I'm out. We got a couple more videos coming this week. Make sure to stay in tune for those. Thank you for watching. Peace.